Oh shit, he has a lawyer?
Yeah, literally, I got the confirmation I have a lawyer about 30 seconds ago.
Hi, Jed. You want to go take a seat in that chair up there?
Which one? This one?
That one, yeah. All right.
Oh, this is traffic court. Thank you, man.
Alright, hold up.
This is definitely not traffic court.
No, traffic court's at the city hall.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Today we're going to be hearing the state of San Andreas versus Judd Greysworth, case 21-1901. Could the state go ahead and say who they are going, or who is here to represent the state?
District Attorney Raiden Harrison.
Assistant District Attorney Kennedy Cartwright.
Yay.
All right. If the defense would like to rise and state their name for the record.
Judd Greysworth. Also, can we wait from a lawyer, please? That'd be nice.
Mr. Greysworth, I don't see anywhere on the docket that you have a registered lawyer.
About 30 seconds ago, I just got an email from Cyrus Hunt saying he's able to attend. So there you go. He's on his way as we speak.
Cyrus Hunt?
Yes. I believe that's his name. Cyrus something.
Yeah, Cyrus Hunt. Does the state object to waiting a few minutes?
No, Your Honor, we don't object.
Okay, we will take a 3-minute recess in order to wait for Mr. Judd's representation.
Yay.
I don't know what's gonna. A demon face. No, I don't think so.
Can the councils approach real quick?
Why are you approaching?
Oh, sorry.
I was sitting down.
Good evening, Mr. Hunt.
Gotta say, this is the most bot shit ever.
Hey, yo,
Good luck.
Judd.
Alright.
Judd.
I go have a seat.
I bet. Yo, what's up?
Good
You
luck.
know what happened, bro? Tommy said you a bitch before he died, bro. That's on game.
Tommy said I'm a bit of bro. Tell me where Tommy's grave is, I'll spit on his grave. Yeah,
Tommy,
bitch.
Tommy didn't say that.
Sit down.
Oh, hi, landmark.
State, do you have anything to say about any of this?
Tommy's
Don't
dead. How
stir
dare
the
you say that?
pot.
Okay.
Spreading
It's
lies
okay,
with
he's
dead
keeping me
person.
warm.
You look at a fucking.
It's okay.
All
You getting?
right.
My legs are pretty warm right now.
You guys need some time to sidebar, have a conversation amongst yourselves. I was able to speak to his client. That's fine too.
All right, so we'll get this all
About new car today.
Thrown
on the
out
road
if you
at
misbehave.
7:35.
That works, sorry. No, I have already owned all the
For
bikes.
state. All right.
Bum, bum.
I got the
Bum, bum.
Bugatti
Bum, bum.
EB110.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, just so we can keep you all informed, the defense has obtained Cyrus Hunt as legal representation. Mr. Hunt is going to be talking with his client, and then we'll be speaking with the state in regards to whatever plea deal or if they need to have any discussions. They'll be presenting whatever they have. If it's going to be going to trial at 7:35, it's been made clear no continuation is going to be granted in this matter. So we are going to be in recess again until 7:35.
Hey guys, sorry. Hey, I have a question for the judges. I don't know if you guys want to come back. So you're there when I ask them the question.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad do you think this is gonna go? Now all these.
Horrible. Horrible.
Alright,
Our shit is
cool,
gonna
cool.
go.
Stay positive. Stay positive.
Yeah, you know,
man.
I've got a smile on my face. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I told you
like,
to stay
Smile.
You
positive.
definitely
I'm
do
gonna
not
write
have a
down.
smile on your face, man. You were like terrified. Look at your face, bro.
I'm happy.
What happens if they send you for the death sentence, bro?
man, you look
Nah,
like
I'm
you got
smiling,
McDonald's
bro.
order wrong. You look so pissed off.
Bro, and you don't even know, bro.
I'm
Yeah.
smiling, bro. It's fine. I'm chilling. You know what I'm saying?
They
I
don't
got
kill
this,
you,
bro. I
bro.
got this. I got
I'm
this.
gonna have to pay for a lawyer that ended up
Pay for the
getting
funeral.
killed. I'm gonna have to pay for the funeral.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna need a death sentence.
I'll just bury
bro.
you next to fucking Tommy, bro.
Alright, but do you need to eat and drink though?
Ooh, they're giving away a car.
No.
Are you good then? All right.
Okay, sorry about that.
Wait, who's giving away a car?
Oh.
Damn. I might have to miss your court case.
Alrighty, court is back in session. So again, this is going to be the State of San Andreas versus Judge Greysworth, case 21-19-801. Does either side have any pretrial motions before we get into this?
No, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. A couple from the defense. And is it okay if my client is taken out of handcuffs?
That is not a problem. If the corrections officer could go ahead and do that.
Come here. Come do it. Come on. There you go. Cheers, me lovely.
Was that your only pretrial motion,
No.
Mr. Hall?
No, Judge.
Or-
I do have a couple matters that I'd like to bring up. I have a couple motions to suppress that I'd like to bring forward to the court. So the first is to suppress exhibits A1 through A4. Sorry, let me go through the next one just to make sure I have the other correct one. I'd also file a motion to suppress for B1 through B3.
All right, let's hear your argument for A1 through A4 first.
Sure. So the same argument applies for all the evidence. It is our contention that there was no lawful grounds for the search and seizure of Mr. Greysworth's property. To my understanding, there was no search warrant, and please correct me if I'm wrong. There was no search warrant for the property, and there was no probable cause to enter his home and then search the contents of his home.
The state, you may rebuttal.
Let's just look at the search warrant, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, there was a search and seizure written for and approved by Judge Peterson, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if I may respond.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, could I be directed as to what exhibit that is or where the search warrant is? Unless that wasn't provided to the defense.
Yeah. The search and seizure warrant would have been given to your client when it was served.
I think so. I do not know.
Could we have an additional copy if I could take a look?
Sure.
Brief.
How would you like this sent to you?
That's up to you.
If you could please put it on the docket.
I've placed that on the docket, Your Honor.
Sorry, you have to provide a photo for us to be able to look at. Sorry, I should say for me, not for us.
Just want you to know I have full faith in you. Just saying.
Totally gone off the whim here. Well, not in the whim. I mean, it's a valid notion. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've only known your name for 20 minutes.
There you go.
Yeah, trust me. I believe in you though.
I'm not seeing anything if you gave it to me.
It's in the docket. Oh, yeah, the photograph is. I put a photograph of it in there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the photograph.
I'm discussing with him. I think you put it on the wrong.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I put it in the wrong place. I apologize.
I'm working on it. You put it on the search and seizure.
Off to a wonderful start.
Prosecution. So I do see that you provided the request, but do you have the actual signed search warrant from the judge?
He's just about to put it on the docket.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Sorry, he had some technical difficulties.
Totally understand. I don't know how to work these technological things either.
Yeah, I just resubmitted it back onto the original search and seizure because I'm an idiot, Your Honor. I apologize. It's now on the docket, Your Honor.
And I need a picture of the actual request with the PC list for it. Because I'm not able to look at what you gave.
I can provide that to them, state, if you're having technical issues.
That would be great. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
I got it. Thanks, Judge. Okay, I have had the opportunity to review the warrant. So with regard to the warrant, I would ask that this evidence now be suppressed based on the warrant not having proper probable cause inside the warrant, it mentions that during the day, Detective Stan Phillips witnessed two people wearing all black and paper bag mask while he was observing the motel. Later that day, he saw people come back wearing the same clothes and the mask, and they saw them at the Pacific Standard Bank. So now, essentially what the PC is for the warrant is earlier in the day, they saw two people inside of a car belonging to the defendant. Later in the day, they see two people who look like those two, and that was the probable cause for the warrant. It is our stance that that isn't probable cause. I think it even mentions inside their report that they believed, that they only had a belief that it was Mr. Greysworth. And of course, if we're going to start approving search warrants off beliefs, then you might as well just sign a search warrant for everybody's home. Again, sorry, Judge, 1 second. What's up?
If I'm correct, those pictures of us like the pictures of leaving the bank, I don't know, are those issued in or have they taken out?
Your Honor, in rebuttal to that, Judd was arrested and identified after that.
Yes, Judge, he was arrested after the fact.
But he was identified as that person.
If I was arrested, why did they go rob me? Why did they go search my apartment? I mean, my motel for the VG.
Could we get the arrest record submitted to the docket so I can review?
It's for bloody October.
Okay, sorry, I understand now, Judge. Okay, so with regard to their argument, he was arrested later when, what's the word they use? Visual contact was lost. And then later, they decided that, okay, well, those are the two people because they're wearing, I would assume, the same paper bag mask. It states inside the warrant that it is believed that the same individual that exited Pink Cage Motel had the valuable goods. But it also mentions inside the warrant that he was arrested. So if he was arrested while leaving the scene, and if the prosecutors are contesting that they had contact on them the whole time, then there is no grounds for the warrant, because the warrant would have been issued on the fact that they would have got away and then they believed that he put the valuables inside of the home. But if the prosecutors are contesting that, okay, well, they had eyes on him and they arrested him, then there would be no grounds for the warrant, because there would be no way for him to put valuables inside of a home.
So he was arrested. I have the arrest report for that incident that I can take a photo of. He was arrested. They never lost eyesight. It's that there were two people that were involved in this. The other person got away from the fleeing. And due to the fact that they robbed a bank and Judd did not have the items on him, and the two were seen sharing the home of Judd, therefore, it was believed that the valuable goods were inside the home due to the fact that they had been seen going in and out of it together.
Sorry,
and robbing the bank together.
Could you provide the arrest report just so I can take a look at what it says?
Yeah, that's what I'm taking. Yep.
Another thing, why would they not just look at my keys and read the? Oh my god, you know,
So as this has turned into a Frank's hearing in regards to the warrant, myself and the judge or the justice here are going to review the warrant real quick. If you can state if you can provide everything that the defense counsel requests in regards to the warrant, we're going to review it ourselves to determine if the probable cause was there. So we will be back 7:58.
Would you like me to just put it on the docket?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine as well.
Everything you have, please post to the docket.
All right. Court back in session. Defense. Now that you've seen the report, do you have any further rebuttals?
I think he might be in his head. Give him a second. There we
Yes,
go.
Judge, if I could just have one moment. Okay, so if I'm understanding the report correct, so it says there was a 1090 at the Pacific Standard Bank. They found 2 people, and they got free passage. They tried to get away from law enforcement officers, and then they crashed their cars off the canals off Popular. They later fled into Mirror Park, and then multiple units were pursuing them, and they were later subdued by taser. So what I'm struggling to understand is inside the arrest report, he, according to the arrest report, unless I'm understanding something wrong, he was arrested on the scene. According to this arrest report, they never lost visual contact, so there would be no grounds for the warrant to be issued. If the police officers saw them leave and they followed them the whole time and they were arrested, why on earth, or how on earth, I should say, how could there be contraband inside of a home if they never lost visual contact?
Does the state have a rebuttal to that?
Yes. Because of the fact that the officer witnessed both of the individuals that were in the same outfits leaving the home that was owned by Judd earlier in the day, and the fact that when 2 people are robbing a bank and the bank has been robbed, one of them has the valuable goods on them. And due to the fact that they were both seen frequenting the home, then it is logical to make a good faith decision that the valuable goods are probably in the home of the bank robber, of which both of them were seen exiting earlier in the day.
Judge, if I may respond.
Sure. Go ahead.
Well, it seems like the state is trying to criminalize people leaving their homes every morning, which that's a topic for another time. But in the report, he was arrested. They never lost contact. So what the state is trying to say, oh, well, he was in his home where he lives, where he sleeps. Oh, he was there later or earlier in the day and he left. How on earth would he get these items into his home if they never lost contact? I mean, how could they even get that assumption? I mean,
So
unless
that's
the state
claiming that he took them, claiming that the accomplice that clearly shares that home with him was the one with the valuable goods. They got away and therefore likely stashed them in the home.
I can respond if you like.
I just asked. Let me ask some clarifying questions. So I'm getting some different statements here. Mr. Hunt is saying the reports say that visual contact wasn't lost, but then the state is telling me that visual contact was lost.
No.
So
They kept contact on Judd. They lost the accomplice.
okay, is the accomplice a registered member of the household?
I do not know how our registered households go, but he was seen obviously going to the home and out of the home in the masks, of which were then used to rob the bank. So it'd be reasonable to assume that he would likely be using that for a stash house.
Judge, if I'm
Really quick, just to clarify on the ownership of a motel. Motels are in this state currently don't have a registered owner, just for the record.
Okay. So yeah, so they were both seen going into this motel and out of this motel. So it's reasonable to believe that the 2 of them used this as a stash home, which was then shown through a good faith search and seizure, which was granted by the court, and then did find that this was being used as a stash house.
Yeah, I don't believe anyone is arguing the good faith that the officers did, but again, we're arguing the validity. So, defense,
Right.
you can go
Part
ahead
of the
with
exculpatory
yes, sir.
rule, I believe, though, of why you would not allow items to be used or search and seizure. Good faith is one of the defenses to the exculpatory rule.
Again, defense, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. You know, if this warrant is based off anything, it's based off an assumption with no evidence to prove it. They're saying because somebody was in his car earlier in the day, oh, that means that that was the person that allegedly robbed the bank. I mean, there is no correlation. If anytime I walk into my house with somebody and I'm arrested later in the day, oh, and that just because that person was, or sorry, the other person that was with me can get a search warrant because they believe it's in the house. I mean, that's astonishing. They had no evidence. And furthermore, the warrant, they never even talked about that. So they're bringing up all these facts now. But if you actually look at what was provided to the judge, they didn't go into this. And the fact is there was no probable cause. The probable cause is based off an assumption. Literally an assumption that because this person was wearing black, that must mean that that was the person that walked into his home. The warrant doesn't have probable cause. It's based off speculation at the very maximum.
They weren't just wearing all black, though. They were wearing the same masks.
Does the state have
was in there.
does the state have the arresting or correction the officer that requested the search warrant?
Yes,
present?
he is here.
All right. So according to Chapter 32, in regards to frank hearings, I'm going to go ahead and use the right of a judge to go ahead and have the warrant or the warrant requestee to the stand so that myself and the justice here can ask clarifying questions. Can the corrections officer come over here?
You can take the mic.
Where's over? Sorry.
Over to the judge.
No.
You're doing great, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know.
Luckily, you got an attorney.
You're supposed to come over here.
Me and my partner who works in the same firm. We used to be in the DA's office.
Alright, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth?
Make sure you're both speaking loudly.
Oh, my bad. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Alright.
All right. Sorry about that. Can you state your name and position for the record?
Sure. Sergeant Detective Sand Phillips of the State Police.
All right. All right, Mr. Phillips. So again, I'm going to be asking you some clarifying questions in regards to the search and seizure warrant you requested. So we've heard from the prosecution and the defense here. However, I want to hear from you why you requested the warrant. Like the defense pointed out, I'm hearing some facts being brought up that weren't initially filed in the warrant. So I want you to stick to the things that you included in the warrant, and please don't talk about anything that was not included in the warrant.
Okay. You mind if I pull it up, just a refresher?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think, like, if they can check, like, the people that have keys to the motel, why didn't they go raid the person who had keys to it? And instead of me.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I want to hear why you requested it, why you believe there's probable cause, but again, please only use what's in the warrant.
Sure. So I was doing surveillance on the pink cage that day. At that point, I noticed a vehicle that was parked in the back of the pink cage. That was oh sorry, I gotta go back to the warrant there. As far as the evidence goes, I took a photo of the vehicle because it seemed suspicious that it was just running with no owner inside of it. And read that it came back to Judge Greysworth. At that point, I still was just doing surveillance, so I got back up onto the rooftop and just kept an eye out and see what was going on. At that point, two of the individuals that were wearing all black came back to the motel wearing masks. I think it was like a paper bag. And they were wearing like a couple black outfits with some logos on it. They entered the motel, exited the motel, got back into the vehicle, and drove southbound. At that point, I observed them again with my binoculars, getting pulled over by an LSPD officer. That same vehicle was used after the stop to go and grab two hostages, which I was listening to over the radio from the officers. The vehicle was followed all the way up to the Pacific Standard Bank. At that point, I went and moved myself over to the Pacific Standard Bank, started watching surveillance on them to see what they were doing, to see if they're the same individuals, and the same individuals that were inside the bank were the same individuals that were coming out the apartment with the paper bag masks. At that point, I was talking with the officers, saying keep an eye on them. At that point, they left the PSB bank, and then they ended up going on a chase. One of the suspects, I believe, like they said, they got lost. I was speaking with the officers, make sure they got the identification of the individuals. Unfortunately, they told me they only were able to catch one of them. At that point, I got the name Judge Greysworth, which matched with the vehicle that was at the pink cage. Again, it was the same vehicle that was parked in front, in the back of pink cage, and the same vehicle that was parked in the actual parking lot of the pink cage when they went into the apartment. Not apartment, I apologize, motel. And then I realized when I talked to the officer that was arresting Judge Greysworth that the valuable goods were not collected from his person, which meant that the secondary suspect that he was with that was also going into the motel most likely had them. So at that point I was asking for the warrant to recover the valuable goods, including any of the contraband and weaponry, illegal weaponry that they were using. Sorry, my voice is kind of going up.
You're fine. Did at any time you guys obtain the... Did you guys ever arrest the second assailant?
We did not know.
Oh my god, we're in the right.
And they're still
at large, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Judge. I do have a couple of questions, if that's okay, once you're done.
These are judicial questions, I believe.
Yeah, the council is not going to be allowed to ask questions during this. Actually, I'll refer to 32 just to be sure.
That's a strong argument, right, that I just gave, right? Sorry? That argument I gave is pretty strong, right? Say it one more time? That argument that I... No, say your argument one more time. I heard that.
All right. Okay. Yep, I don't... Basically... And nowhere in here does it say you can do that, so we're not going to be doing that.
Before said bank, how is he supposed to go in my motel without my keys, like me unlocking the door and letting me in? How is the VG supposed to be in there without me letting him in? Give me an idea. Okay. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? So he could never even been in there because like they never lost sight of me. So I, you know.
No. All right. I actually just conferred with the justice here. We're willing to allow the councils to ask questions in regards to this matter. Before that, does the state want to note any objections?
Give me a second, Your Honor. both counsel will be here. Your Honor, the only objections we have at this time is a Frank's hearing should have been heard weeks ago, not in the criminal trial. And as you said yourself, these are judicial questions. Don't understand why we're being allowed to ask him now when he will be on the stand very shortly during the criminal trial.
I'll respond to your question.
Yeah, you can make a rebuttal statement.
With regard to weeks ago, I think we're all aware that this case got tossed in my lap 20 minutes ago. So at that point, that's insane. Secondly,
not your problem.
The actual trial itself is determined guilt or innocence. We're trying to get the warrant tossed out. I mean, these are two completely separate topics.
The trial itself hasn't even commenced yet. We're still in pre-trial, and we're
So the trial hasn't actually commenced yet. So per the rules of court, it was a pretrial motion to speak about the warrant. Myself and the justice determined that there was enough question in the warrant and the warrant's probable cause to warrant a Frank's hearing. So to give the state, a fair share, that is why pretrial turned into a Frank's hearing. Just so that is clear. So let's go ahead and move forward with defense asking questions. And then we can go with the prosecution.
Good evening. Detective Phillips, how are you today, sir?
All right.
That's good to hear. And I just want to clear up a couple things, if that's okay. I just want to confirm, you actually only saw one person going into the motel, correct?
No.
What do you mean?
I watched both of them go in.
Okay. If you could refer to the docket for me quickly.
You go ahead.
And you provided a body cam to the court, yeah?
Correct.
And that's on page 1, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay, if you could take a look at that body cam for me. Actually, let me just get the label number for you.
I got it.
It's J6. Are you taking a look at that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you could just point out to me where in this body cam video where the other person enters the home, please. And you might be right. So please tell me.
It's loading up one side.
While he's finding that, Mr. Phillips, I do have one more clarifying question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
The evidence that you submitted here and that's on the docket, is this prior to the PSB commencing or after?
This is prior.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, were you able to look at that?
Yeah, it's just one. I'm having a slow brain day. My apologies on the video. If you look clearly, at this point now, both individuals not go in. However, when they did first arrive, I did get visual confirmation watching both walk in. However, if you watch the video, you can see not Mr. Greysworth, which is wearing the design shirt. The other individual unlocks the door for him.
Sure. So let's talk about that. So in the video that you provided, you agree that this is the only video you provided of people entering the home, correct?
Correct.
That only shows one person going into the residence, right?
At this time, yes.
Sorry, maybe I missed the question. The other person, he's wearing a suit, right?
Correct.
Right. If you could refer to Exhibit K1 for me. So what?
I must have a different docket because I don't see K1. Oh, I see it now. I'm sorry. I got it. Okay.
And sorry, just for my clarity, because I didn't see this, did you provide any of this evidence to the judge?
I'm sorry. Can you clarify the question again?
Sure. So all this body cam that you're giving to the court now after the fact, was that provided to the judge?
It's on the docket. Yes, it was provided to the judge.
No, sorry, I should.
It's on the search warrant.
When you submitted the search warrant?
Yes, it was, I believe. Well, let me look at that again. It's been forever. I'm quite certain it is. Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then just for, again, my clarity. So, of course, you're testifying here today that the other person was with him. Oh, actually, I did have a question. So you did testify. You said that the other person walked in once they unlocked the door for them, right? That's what you said because the video doesn't show both of them going in?
Correct.
So you'd agree that that person, the guy with the hoodie, would have to unlock the door for the other person to enter, right?
Correct.
So if you arrested the other person, sorry, I'm not trying to be condescending here, but if you arrested the other person and that person was the only person who could get into the home, why on earth did you submit a search warrant for that person if you knew that that person needed to unlock the door to get in?
It could have been a multitude of reasons why he opened the door.
But from what you saw, you only saw him get in once he unlocked the door, right? Himself?
As the judge stated earlier, no one owns a motel.
Sure. Do you want me to repeat my question for you?
Correct.
Right. And just for everybody's, oh, sorry, you want me to repeat it? So the other person, from everything that you've seen, that person would have to unlock the door for him to get in, right? That's the only way he could have got into the home.
Correct.
Right. And you had that other person in custody, did you not?
No.
You didn't?
As stated twice now, the second individual got away.
I understand that, sir. But the person that got into the motel, that's the person that needed to unlock the door, right? That's the person that you saw walk in, correct?
I'm sorry. You've got to repeat your question more clearly.
Sure. So this person that you saw, the person with the hoodie that you saw there, he was the one who unlocked the door for the other gentleman, correct?
No.
Okay, so who unlocked it?
The gentleman in the suit.
The gentleman in the suit unlocked it.
Yes.
So this is even more confusing now because that would mean that the roles are reversed. That would mean that the other person has to unlock it for the other person to go in, right? So the guy in the suit, he has to unlock it for the other person to go in.
Whether
Correct?
they unlocked it before or not, they both entered before, so I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said?
I said before we got footage of it, they're both going to go into the actual motel.
Okay. And okay, so I just want to make sure the record's clear, and I don't want to sit here for 10 more minutes questioning you, so I'm just going to try and wrap this up here. So I might have misheard your testimony, but I was under the impression, so the person who was standing outside, right? You recall that person in your video?
Let me pull it up again, sure. I apologize. No, I'm looking at the wrong video. You're talking about the one where they're... Give me the description if you could, because I'm having some head issues.
Sure, that's J6 that I wanted you to look at.
No, I apologize. The hooded individual is the only one that entered the apartment during that one. Looks like the individual was trying to tackle the other person.
Right, we went over that already. So, just for my clarity, so you're saying that you saw these people before this as well, right?
Correct.
Okay. So when you saw that, the person who went inside, so the person who's standing outside, that's the person who you presume didn't have keys, right? Because he was just standing out there?
I can't presume he had keys or if he didn't have keys or if he was just sitting there. I can't tell what someone's thinking.
The person who went inside the home, that's clearly the person who would have to unlock it for the other person to go in, right?
Not necessarily.
So you're saying you don't know?
At this point, yeah, I couldn't tell you. If you have homes, so both individuals have the keys to a home or a motel or apartment, you don't have to, in a sense, unlock it.
Okay. And then with that point, do you have any evidence that they both have keys?
If Your Honor, if you want to explain this one.
I mean, you can answer that question.
In this city, you can't see who has keys to certain places.
That wasn't the question.
He asked me if he had keys or not.
He asked you if you had evidence to prove that they both had keys.
Your Honor, you stated earlier that there could be no evidence for this. It's a moot question.
It's not owned by anybody, and you can't tell who has keys and who doesn't have keys. He could have given that key to 50 people. I couldn't give you a list of that 50 people because it's not available.
Okay, I'll make it quick and I'll just wrap up on this. Just to end this off, so we're not here because we still have to do a trial potentially. So this person that you saw, the guy with the suit, he stood outside the motel the whole time, right?
Correct.
The other person went inside.
Yes, for this video that we're looking at. Correct.
We can presume that the person who went inside is the person who is running the motel, right?
Again, no.
Okay, so you don't know who is running the motel.
Again, no, because the people that own the building, I guess, won't tell you who owns the keys. Who owns the motel at that time. So
your search warrant, it was based off an assumption that this person may have keys, but you had no evidence to prove that.
I'm not going to answer this. It's based off of law. Off of evidence that was provided.
Sure. Okay. I have no further questions, Jeff.
State, do you want to ask any clarifying questions?
So, hello, Mr. Phillips.
Ugh.
So, prior to the actual body cam that was submitted, you watched both individuals enter this motel
Correct.
and exit this motel.
Correct.
At that time, did either of them unlock or just they both entered?
From the angle that I could see, I couldn't see one unlock.
Okay. I believe that is our questions then.
All right. You are released from the stand. Go ahead and give myself and the justice about 3 minutes to figure out if this has validity or not.
Ruby, what's this guy's name? Ruby. The guy right in front of me, the lawyer.
This is Cyrus Hunt.
No, I met that guy. This guy had 5 minutes to prepare for this fucking case and he murdered it.
And this is Mick. I know.
You said I was Cyrus.
No, the guy he's talking about who's Judd's lawyer.
I mean, you can't just take my word for it.
The guy up there?
Yeah, that's Cyrus Hunt.
Oh yeah. That's Cyrus. But I'm Mick. You called me. I'm kidding. I'm just teasing you. I apologize. It's great to see you. I apologize. I'm just teasing you. I apologize, Judge York.
It's Christmas.
It is. I had to take advantage. You know, I just had to tease. I had to be able
Your Honor,
to
if I may make a point quickly, I thought I'd be able to make one quick.
I thought they called recession. Or oh my God. God, did I just say recession? Edward, go away. Go over there. Go over there.
They're talking. Let them talk.
That's Raiden, by the way. It's not the prosecutor.
It's done fantastic.
Is murdering a good thing? I don't think it is a good
That's
thing.
what I'm trying to honk to Hunt. Hunt.
No, he's gonna see it thinking.
The hooded man.
Hunt is fucking.
Hunt.
I don't think you can help him. You're not supposed to.
He has nowhere to prove that the other person has keys.
He's listening to Judd. He's
nowhere to
listening
prove
to his client.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I'm not sure. I just assumed so.
Seriously, why do
apartment?
Well then maybe if I can't help him.
Is that Raj?
You know what I'm trying to say, right?
It's bad.
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong. With this case.
People saying it's a bad warrant.
I mean, you can't step in and help him. But that's
Fair enough.
Okay. At the time,
That's a bit weird.
What the?
Find any items that were connected
Judge?
to the robbery.
Good point. No, you're right. You're right.
Huh?
Right. No, it's a good point. It's a good point. Edward.
He's got
Oh.
it. He's got it.
Oh, you were able to hear me?
You're right.
Oh my
You're right.
God, who's
Edward.
this bloody man?
Edward, move.
They want you to approach.
Yes.
Me?
I only wanted you to approach because I thought you were coming. If you don't have anything.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Bloody Johnny.
Covered in blood?
I think it's just a sort of head thing.
Ugh.
You're getting more than money after this.
Yeah, well, that's because I had things to do.
Jesus Christ.
But not a slacker, far from it. Busy doing paperwork, you know how it is.
Like, I'm not even lying.
Do your paperwork later.
I wish I could have, but you know, end of year. All that good stuff. Did not have a choice. Anyway, I heard it went well, so congrats.
Yeah, went well. No one yelled at each other, so it's good in my book.
That's wonderful.
There's 10 people in a room and nobody says something that makes people yell at each other. I think it's as good as it's gonna get.
Then, probably a good thing I wasn't there, because sometimes I say things by accident.
We're a pile of bullshit this whole time. I could sense it. I could fucking feel it in my bones, man. There was no way. There was some shady shit going on. This warrant has holes in it. I fucking fell through one.
It's very interesting having a judge and a justice work together. Does that mean that anything that happens today sets precedents? Interesting.
I don't think so, because technically it's still district court, even if there's a justice.
I know, but I just read the thingamajiggy and it says any ruling given by a justice. So they might have to change that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The only thing is, I need to pay Veronica, and she's not around, so I guess I'll do that tomorrow.
This is going way better than I thought it would. Like so much better.
Johnny.
What's up?
What's up, son?
Smile shit.
I have fruit smoothies.
Why you look so fucked up, man?
I don't know, man. It's just your eyes. On my eyes. I'll never run that.
Oh, gosh, can I get my Christmas money? Come on.
The defense had a point they wanted to bring up real quick.
Yes, Judge. Briefly. Okay, so with regard to his testimony, I didn't want to start testifying while I was questioning him. So what I'm failing to understand is this assumption: if the person needs to unlock the motel and they had him in custody, I'm still not understanding how on God's green earth someone could put something inside of the motel.
Prior to the event.
I don't know. I don't say that again.
Sure. So if the person who owns the motel needs to unlock the door to the motel for the other person to get in, but they arrested the other person, they arrested Mr. Greysworth, the whole time and they never lost contact, it would be impossible for him to unlock the door. So that's making the warrant. No probable
Here's the
cause.
thing.
And
Here's the thing. I get what you're saying. Have you ever been to a hotel before, Mr. Hunt?
Sure.
They normally give you several keys when you're going. So just because the defendant gave, or just because the warrant that was submitted only has evidence of one party opening the door, that in itself isn't enough for me to go against this warrant.
Sure.
So,
and another point, what they had requested for the search warrant, which mainly was the Pacific Bank items. For the record, they never found anything from Pacific Bank.
State has a rebuttal.
Yeah, go ahead.
A search does not have to be fruitful in order to be legal. So
Judge,
it's not required that they would find the items from Pacific Bank in order for the search to be legal.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, the word good faith. I have no question that the officers were performing a search within good faith. All right. So with that in mind, the court has come to the ruling on the Frank motion. Like all of my trials, I am going to explain the court's reasoning prior to giving the verdict. Okay. So as it was discussed, and as we brought the requesting officer to the stand, the officer provided enough information for this court to feel as if there was enough that the individuals in question were involved in activities, and confirmed that they did have they in fact saw that they were involved with the motel in question that was raided. However, it was Motel 37. However, we have a trial right after this, which is going to talk about the charges itself. So with that in mind, we are not going to grant the Frank order. So that means we are going to uphold the warrant in question, given the evidence that was provided. However, it should be it should be noted that we will not, just because this is granted, we are not siding with the charges. We are going to hear that out, and we're going to see if there's validity for the charges that were presented. So that will conclude the Frank hearing, and we will go on with the trial. With that in mind, if the defendant can, I guess you're already arose, but if we can get the state to list out the charges.
Yes, Your Honor. PC 2306, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. PC 2303, possession of a Class 3 illegal firearm weapon. PC 2302, possession of a Class 2 illegal firearm weapon. PC 1133, weapons stockpiling with intent to traffic, 10 to 20. 2 counts of PC 2234.1, criminal possession of a government issued firearm. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me just count this, sir.
So what would you rather do?
9 counts of PC 2334.3, criminal possession of a government issued equipment.
Oh my lord.
PC 2305, manufacturing of illegal weapons. PC 2218, drug trafficking, quantity of 600 plus. PC 3129, illegal possession of Schedule 2 controlled substances. PC 3130, illegal possession of drug paraphernalia. And PC 3207, possession of illegal contraband.
I've been in there 17.
Okay. With that in mind, if the defendant could give us a plea for each of those charges.
Sorry, just may I have one moment?
Of course.
It's just, what am I going to do? I don't have the money to pay for the fine.
I mean, if you want, we can try and go to trial and try our best.
Will the trial happen now?
He's gonna hit with every single charge, bro.
Let's do it.
The entire case fell out.
I plead not guilty to all.
All right, the court notates not guilty plea for all charges. With that in mind, State, would you like to make an opening statement?
Okay. On December 3rd, 2021, Judd Greysworth was pulled over for a traffic stop. This enabled officers to arrest him and serve an outstanding warrant from the 22nd of October, 2021. This warrant was for Judd Greysworth's arrest following a raid on his motel room at Pink Cage. The evidence from the subpoena to commit the raid are exhibits J and K. The most prominent being J6, which shows the video of the defendant using the motel room, which I later found out does not. Detective Phillips and Major Arnhem listed what was found at the motel room as the evidence A to I will show, as well as their testimony. The amount of illegal items found were impressive. Many firearms and drugs are found and listed in evidence exhibit I, including these things needed to manufacture weapons and cultivate drugs. Among the things found were police equipment and firearms, also shown in the exhibits. Exhibits M1 and 2 also show the identity of the defendant. The list of items in Exhibit I were found on the defendant's property. They are his responsibility as per case law of this state of San Andreas versus Povitats. The defendant will be found guilty of all charges as testimony and exhibits will prove. Thank you.
Defense, go ahead with your opening statement.
If the defense has an opening, Judge, we're prepared to proceed to testimony.
Okay. The prosecution may call their first witness.
I would like to call Mr. Phillips back to the stand, John.
Just for formality basis, let's get him re-sworn in, bailiff.
Yeah. All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right.
May I approach, John?
You may.
Sergeant Detective Phillips, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a few questions. That's okay. We've already heard from you about the warrant. Can you tell me what you found inside the motel room?
A plethora of illegal items, anywhere from poppy seeds, weapons, weapon attachments, bags of drugs, including cocaine, heroin, weed, items you can use to prepare and make drugs as well. The list goes on to as well as illegal firearms and also police equipment and police firearms as well.
Can we say, well, would you agree that Exhibit I shows its list on the docket?
Could you repeat that
Exhibit
again?
I on the docket? There's a list there. Can you confirm that that's what you found?
Yes, that's what I found. Yep. Yeah, that's the breakdown of everything that we found.
Okay. And can you also check for me? Exhibits A through B also show where you found these items?
Yes, they were in different containers throughout the motel. Some were on the bed, some were just on the side, in containers. They're just littered all over the motel.
Was this list witnessed by anyone?
Yes, by Detective Arnhem.
Did you follow chain of custody with these items?
Yes, he helped me first make sure all the items in the boxes were pictures were taken of all the items inside the boxes. We had security outside, making sure that no one approached while we loaded up the vehicles. Once all the illegal items were taken out of the vehicle, or sorry, out of the motel, they were transported, and then we inventoried again at an undisclosed location.
Okay. Did you find the police equipment?
We did.
And they are listed in the Exhibit I.
They are.
As well as police weapons?
Yes, there were 2 of them.
Okay. No further questions at this time.
Defense, your witness.
Good evening, Detective.
Hello.
Sorry, just for clarity, you said you found 2 police-issued equipment. Those were guns?
Police issued firearms, but there was multiple items found.
Sure. So, what were those 2 firearms?
It was an SMG as well as a Mark II rifle.
Okay, and let's just start off. Sorry about that. Let's just start off with the SMG as an example. Was there any, for example, police-issued ID or?
It's ran off of serial numbers.
Sure. And that serial number, was it ever provided?
I believe one point, I don't have that on hand at the time.
Okay. These guns, what would establish their police guns? It would be established through the serial number of the gun, right?
Not necessarily. Not the Mark II.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about the SMG right now.
Sorry, you said plural. Guns.
Sure. The SMG, how you would identify it to be a police gun, is by running the serial number, correct?
Correct.
And to your understanding, or from what you've seen, that serial number, that was never provided as an exhibit, right?
Not that I could see.
And the reason why you did this search is because you believe you would find something from the
Objection, Your Honor. Scope.
Rebuttal.
I'm inquiring with regard to the search warrant and the items that are found on the property.
So we already talked about the validity of the warrant in the Frank's hearing, so let's move on.
Sure. Okay, so let's okay, so we went over with the SMG, and then you were going on to say that the carbine rifle, the MK2, I believe you were going to say that that's just standard police equipment, right?
Hello.
That's a government issued rifle.
I'm at Judd's court case.
Right. But the SMGs, those could be government issued, or they could
I don't even know.
be purchased or crafted, whatever it may be.
It's like 50-50 right now.
Right?
I believe so. I don't know the exact answer on that one, but yes.
What do you want to do?
And just for clarity, you charged the defendant with
So what?
1, 2, about 11
for clarification, for clarification on that, I believe some were added from the D's office.
Sure.
Your Honor, I can answer that if you would like.
Say that again, State.
I could answer the defense's question if you would like. I did add charges to this case.
Unless the prosecutor wants to take the stand, I'd be happy to question him too.
I'll keep quiet then.
To answer your question, the 2 weapon charges, yes. As far as the other contraband, no.
Okay, so my question is he's being charged with about approximately 10 counts of criminal possession of government-issued equipment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the 2 guns, you found the 2 that came back to police?
Correct.
And okay, and the motel itself, I presume you ran it in some way?
Again, there's no owner of a motel.
Okay, whoever had the keys. Because you filed a warrant for the owner, right? You filed it for the person who had the keys?
We filed it for the property itself.
Okay, but his name was on the warrant, right?
Correct, because it was one of the individuals that entered the property, correct.
I'm sorry, just for clarity, you don't want us arguing the warrant?
I'm sorry, was that to me or the
No,
judge?
sorry, that was to the judge.
Restate it. I thought that was for him.
No, I was just saying you don't want us to argue anything with regard to the warrant.
No. All I want you to do right now is focus on the charges.
The motel itself. So I was curious, why were you surveilling the property?
Objection, Your Honor. Scope.
I'll allow that to go ahead because it was referenced in the report.
But not in questioning, Your Honor. This is a cross. I didn't ask him anything about that, sir.
I mean, given how we do things here, they don't have an opportunity to recall the witness, so he can continue with his questioning.
Okay, so go ahead.
I was asking, why were you surveilling the property?
It was for investigation that I cannot speak about.
Okay. And investigation. Oh, I guess you can't speak about it. Oh, I'm going to ask, and then we can go from there. Was Mr. Greysworth or the other identified person a subject to that investigation?
Again, it's an open investigation. I cannot speak about.
Sorry, I'll defer to the judge here if you want him to answer or not.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
I'm deferring to the judge if he wants an answer to that or not.
Does the state have any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. It's an open investigation and could be detrimental if mentioned in court.
Your Honor, just for this, I'm solely just asking if Mr. Greysworth was a subject to that investigation. That would not jeopardize their investigation.
Well, you could be jeopardizing that investigation by knowing that.
Well, if that were the fact, they've already searched the home, so it's already happened. There's nothing to go back on now.
Your Honor,
for this line of questioning, let's have the counsel's approach, and we can hear out this line of questioning.
Do you want me to follow?
You can come over here, detective.
Okay, and just one more question. In all the evidence, to your understanding, was there any evidence provided that shows that the house that you requested a search for, that they walked into, was number 36?
I believe there's a photo of it, yeah.
Okay, and then what exhibit is that?
Or it'd be 37, I think, actually, in the warrant. Yeah, 37. Submitted to the docket, I don't know if they did, but it was submitted within the warrant itself.
We'll take a look and see, because that's pretty crucial in this case, actually.
It's in there.
Your Honor,
No,
this
in
was
this case, not in the
objection.
warrant.
This was listed in the warrant and has already been ratified.
Well, Judge, with all due respect, we didn't have a copy of the warrant, and they didn't give us or try to admit the warrant as evidence. So,
Objection. The fact is his client is always served with the warrant. He came on late, so of course he didn't have a copy of it because he's prepping, moments before. But again, this is also questioning the validity of the warrant.
Judge,
what was your question again, Mr. Hunt?
I was asking if there's any evidence to show that that the house that they walked into was house number 36 or motel number 37 in this case.
I'll allow the question, but please get to your point. as I've made it clear that we're not talking about the validity of the warrant. So as long as that's not where this line of questioning is going, I don't have a problem with it. So go ahead.
Sure. So, if you want to point out for me, because you said it was provided, where the proof is that this was Motel 37.
Are you asking me
In the
in the actual approval, or that I actually had keys
In the
to
docket.
it?
No. I'm asking for. So they walked into. Okay, well, I'll break it down for you. They walked
It
into.
was in the warrant again. It was in the warrant. It was not in the docket that I wear.
Sure. So it's not in the doc. Right.
It has the number that we entered, 37.
Okay. And then what exhibit is that? Is my question.
It literally is the matter. I have to look at the docket again. I couldn't tell you if it's in there. I don't see it there. No.
Okay. And then, of course, as you probably know, in any criminal case, it's pretty, and this isn't your fault, but it's pretty essential that that prosecutors can actually prove whose motel they were entering, right? Would you agree with that? Not you, the prosecutors.
Your Honor.
Because the state's not objecting to this, I'll step in and I'll say this isn't, I don't need to hear about this, so we can move on.
Right, I did
He's a
object
detective
earlier.
for the case, not a prosecutor, so he's not going to be talking about how prosecutors are doing their job.
Sure. I got one moment.
I did object to that line of questioning, but you allowed it, so I proceeded to allow it.
That wasn't about the question about how he asked about prosecutors and the fact that it's
I'm sorry,
being
I must
added
have
to
just not
dockets.
heard that.
So
Okay. I also would like to state that again, he doesn't have the access to that section of.
We'd
government
object
and that's
that
why I didn't
counsel's
allow it.
testifying.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So of course, you don't know, right? So it's a motel. You don't know who owned the motel, right? That's what you testified to.
Objection asked and answered.
I'm just looking to clarify, Judge.
I believe he's
all
asked
right,
and answered.
preface that prior that you're asking a clarifying question.
Sorry, I'm just looking to clarify an answer to one of your previous questions. You don't know who actually owned the motel, right?
Technically, no one owns it. You just have the keys.
Right. So you just knew that somebody had keys to a motel, right? Right?
As far as people having access to it, yes.
Right. And the person that is being arrested for all these items, he was in custody throughout the whole time, was he not?
No.
Okay, so I'll break it down for you. There was a bank robbery. He got away. Sorry, he didn't get away. He was chased, correct?
He was arrested.
Chased. He was chased and arrested, was he not?
Are you talking about the fleeing suspect, or are you talking about your client?
Mr. Greysworth. He was arrested on the scene. That's what the report says, right?
Of the bank robbery, yes.
Right. So you never lost eyes on the defendant.
Again, I was not the pursuing officer.
Okay. According to the report, they never lost eyes on the defendant, correct?
Objection.
can't
This
speak
is
for another
as to the
officer.
warrant again.
Judge, I'm
He's
trying
not
to get
questioning the validity. He's questioning the charges all out.
But this isn't
And-
the charges as to the arrest.
The warrant was not an arrest warrant. It was a search and seizure warrant. He's determining if the line of questioning he's asking is not questioning the validity of the warrant, and I don't see how that can be interpreted as that.
Maybe you didn't understand my objection. That's fine.
And this person, Mr. Greysworth, so he was in custody the entire time, and you believe that the other person was putting these items into the house, correct? Or the motel, sorry?
It was that the individual was going to be stashing the items inside there.
Right.
Yes.
So if any of the stuff were to be put in there, the only person that could put in those things are the person that you never identified. Is that right?
The individual, yes. The secondary one, yes.
Right. Because you had the defendant in custody the entire time, right?
He was only in jail for a certain time. Are you asking me between the
Sure.
time that the warrant was executed?
Yes.
That was much different timing.
Okay. All right. So we'll break this down so we're not here all day. So he was arrested, correct?
Correct.
You got a search warrant, right?
No.
Okay. So you didn't get a search warrant after he was arrested?
Not right away, no.
Okay. Sure. And again, you filed the search warrant. The only person who could put the stuff in the home is the other guy, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. But you don't know if those stuff inside of that motel, you don't know if it's the defendant's or the other person's or somebody else's, right? Because you don't actually know who owns the motel. Because nobody owns it, correct?
Again, multiple people can enter it. I don't know who owns the keys.
Right.
Or who
That's
has keys.
That's exactly my point. You don't know if that's a defendant's items, right?
With his ID inside the motel, as well as he had multiple hours after he was out of police custody in Bolingbrook, it was believed that it could easily have been brought in by him or the second individual.
Okay. So just like you said, it could have been him or it could have been the second individual, right? You don't know. Correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Detective.
Okay.
Go ahead, state.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective, did you find any valuable goods in the building?
We did not.
Oh, so the second person who had the valuable goods couldn't have got in? Oh.
Sorry,
I'm
Judge,
sorry.
He's got to speak a little more clearly.
So there were no valuable goods found there.
Correct. There was no valid goods found.
So the defense's argument of the second person could only go in there mustn't be true because they had them, right?
We'd object, Judge. That's speculation.
Oh, I'm
He
sorry.
doesn't
I
know who
withdraw the
put
question.
what inside the motel. That's the whole issue in the case.
Are you testifying, Counselor?
I was making an objection.
All right, order in my court. When it comes to, let's go ahead and I appreciate you withdrew that question, so we're going to strike that again. So go ahead with your next question.
So you stated you found Judd's ID inside the motel room, correct?
Correct. I believe it's also on one of the exhibits.
He was one of the people that you saw go into that motel room, correct?
Correct.
We'd object, Judge. It's a speculation. He doesn't know who walked into the motel. He knows somebody in a black hoodie walked in.
Rebuttal statement from the state.
Your Honor, this was stated earlier that the defendant was spotted and then followed to PSB with hostages and then arrested. He was identified the whole way through.
They never identified him as the person going into the motel.
I'll go ahead and allow the questioning. You can continue.
So you saw both people go into the motel room, correct?
Correct.
And for clarification, you found Judd Greysworth's ID inside that motel room.
Objection. Asked and answered.
I said for clarification, Your Honor.
He didn't say for clarification, Judge.
I did.
He did.
He did. We'll go ahead and answer it.
Yes, we found his ID.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, the witness is dismissed. Remember, you still are under oath, so please stay around.
Judge, can I have something noted on the record?
Sure.
I just want to make sure it's absolutely clear to Your Honors. The ID that was not found where the weapons were found. It was found in a completely different. It was found in a barbecue, and the weapons were found inside of a cabinet. I just wanted to make that clear on the record.
So noted.
Your Honor, where's the evidence of this?
Look at your own exhibit.
All right. Was it inside the motel room, though, Your Honor?
It wasn't.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
This here was found at a barbecue.
It was found in a barbecue, and then the illegal items were found not with the other things. And it's clear that both, or you're alleging two people had access to the motel. Just making that clear for the record.
All right, that much is clear, but again, it's not the biggest point. So, again, we'll move on. Does the state have another witness they'd like to call?
We'd like to call Major Arnhem.
Is this Major Arnhem right here? Or?
Yes, this is former Major Arnhem, now just Detective Arnhem.
Okay, you can stop right there real quick, Mr. Arnhem, Detective. Are you aware of the court attire that you should be wearing to court?
Yeah, I am aware. I got notified of this court case maybe 5 minutes before everything kicked off. That I was even a witness for.
Well,
so
I'm
I do
seeing
apologize.
that I see on the witness list here that you were listed on the initial witness list by the prosecutor.
I understand that. I was never notified myself, though, that this court case was ever happening. I have been sick for the past 2 weeks, so I do apologize. But if anyone else here can ever see me in court, I usually am one of the best dressed in this room. So,
all right.
It is also the holiday season. Happy holidays.
Yep, happy holidays. All right, given your sickness situation, I'll allow it, but please don't show up to my courtroom again in this attire.
You got it, sir.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right.
Also, do you have like a mask or something? I don't want to get, your sickness. Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
not contagious. We're good.
All right. Are you going to be an expert witness for medical? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's been.
Oh,
Jesus.
shit.
Okay.
Oh. Did we just lose power? What happened?
We did,
Yes.
Oh, well, I think the microphone still works.
That's good. Sir.
Yes. There's a terrorist attack, Your Honor.
There's a terrorist attack.
Wait, what?
Yeah, power plant's being hit.
Don't worry.
We have officers there. Don't worry.
Flashlight.
Well, we have officers at the prison locking down, so.
All right, can we get the whole courtroom locked down then? If there's a terrorist attack, I would have really liked to know about that.
It just occurred.
Okay.
Can I go lock the door?
Any officers in the court, go ahead and we're going to take a recess. Go ahead and
I'll
lock
lock
down the
the
court.
doors, Your Honor.
The door should be locked. I got my firearm out.
All right.
Can't fucking
Yes,
see
Right,
this.
the electronic
Yeah.
locks work.
Yeah, the officers of the court can go to the front door and lock down the courthouse until we know the threat is no longer a thing. So we're going to be on recess until such thing is
Power's
under
gonna be
control.
out for about 30 minutes, Your Honor, by the way.
Oh, look.
Is the can one of the officers come speak with the judges up here?
Is the courtroom
Can an
secure?
officer go?
Yeah,
Is
we
the
found one.
courthouse
Here's
secure?
one.
Hello.
Here's an officer.
Do we have any law enforcement?
Yeah, we've got one. He's coming up now.
Oh, your witnesses? They still know?
Can't see where the bleachers are.
You gotta start charging him.
So bizarre.
Oh,
No,
thank
I'm just kidding. You probably shouldn't do that. That would really stir the pot.
Oh, hope they don't stick Judd back in.
All right, can you go get me Arnhem?
Seems like it's not working for them.
Or just
They're making cups of tea.
nothing.
Our founding fathers.
But situation seems to be alright.
Good man.
Trying to break somebody out of prison.
All right.
Power plant's gone.
Yeah, if you can go get me Arnhem, that'd be great.
Yeah, no worries. Alright, I'll get you.
Wait a minute, they're your trees? Yes, ma'am. Oh my god, I thought some kind of magical fairy had come and...
told you. No.
God damn.
No, why do you think there's only trees outside when I'm here?
I'm gonna go pay Veronica. I'll be back.
I thought we were on lockdown.
Are we? I don't know. I wasn't
Yeah,
day
we're
trip.
on lockdown.
So I can't leave.
Well, just don't go to the prison.
Typically, you guys do refile. You guys are petty like that.
Oh, I work there.
You know, I don't know if I would disagree. I agree with that statement. You think I'm petty? Sometimes. I just love arguing with Raiden in court.
Okay, I need a mask.
Oh, one time, did you hear about the one time where he walked out and he said, "I quit"? That was my first case as a defense attorney. Yeah, I got a case dismissed, and he walked out and he said, "Fuck this shit, I quit." No, I definitely prefer competition rather than just going around with some person who doesn't know what they're talking about. Like Raiden.
I won't be able to come back though.
Will I be able to come?
Oh, is that right, Mr. Hunt?
Yes, Jeff, it is.
Oh,
Are you able to hear me?
Some of your actions wouldn't deem that. It seems like you like going to the winning side.
Sorry? One more time?
What? I said it
No,
sounds
I-
like you like.
Go ahead.
I said it sounds like you like going to the winning side. Is what you said.
Winning side. No,
Yeah.
no. No, I was saying I like arguing with prosecutors who aren't that smart, like Raiden.
Okay. All right, buddy.
That was just a joke. That was a joke.
That's not what he said. He definitely didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
That was a
Would you
joke.
like
That
to
was
make a
joke.
defamation claim, Mr.
Yes, I would, sir. And that's not a joke.
No, okay, we were having a whole conversation. It was.
I was not party to that, so I'm not overly impressed with his
We have
action.
a defamation hearing right now.
I'll shoot him right now if you like, sir.
No.
Not if I shoot him
There's a
first.
threat right there.
I have to charge you, sir.
Oh my God.
Oh gosh, no.
Where is Arnhem?
He had to fly a helicopter.
What?
What? He's sick.
He's testifying.
He'll be back. I got texted
No,
him.
we don't have time for this shit.
No. Why did he leave? I told him he had to stay.
Crime never sleeps.
Did you just say some cringy shit like crime never sleeps?
Yeah, that's the EMS dude.
Oh, it's of course it's the EMS.
Well, am I wrong, sir? We can go without him if we need to, sir.
Yes.
What?
So we have to just. see
There, I
for
posted
that.
on Bleeder.
Where I don't even. He doesn't even have an ad up. I can't even call him and yell at him.
I got his number if you need it.
Oh yeah, bring it up to me.
Wait, who am I giving this to?
One of the judges.
The judge.
Okay.
I'm in the big chair.
Hi, big chair judge. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. 644 805 3. Well, I'm sorry. 805 5365.
Calling him.
If he's in a helicopter, he probably won't answer, to be fair.
Yeah, but
And he
he's sick,
didn't.
so why'd he go on duty? Oh, people.
Am I wrong when I say that crime never sleeps?
All right. Is the defense and prosecution here, or?
I mean, crime never pays, sure, but it doesn't sleep either.
Yes, Judge.
All right.
Yep.
Well, seeing that he just left, I'm leaning to just strike his entire testimony because that we haven't been able to cross. Well, actually, he didn't even really say anything, so.
I don't think
He
he said
didn't
anybody.
actually say a word, sir.
All right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, all right. Let's move on. Do you have any other witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Defense. Do you have any witnesses you'd like to call to the stand?
If I could have one moment, too.
All right.
We have no witnesses, Judge.
You said
Unless
you have
we
no
can-
witnesses?
Unless we can recall a prosecution's witness, but I think you already said that we couldn't do that.
Given the change of circumstances, let me speak with the justice and see if we're still doing that.
Captain Arnhem is back.
Oh, the captain is back?
It's just Detective Arnhem.
Detective.
Oh, detective. Welcome back.
Yes, sorry, there's a prison break. I was trying to prevent people from getting out of prison.
Very heroic. Anyway, defense, do you have any objection to this?
No, Judge, we actually would like to question this witness.
Okay, prosecution, go ahead.
Can you state your name for the record?
Yes, it's Detective Kavor Arnhem.
Okay. Can you inform me of your involvement in the search and seizure?
To my recollection, I got on duty to take care of a little bit of paperwork. When I got around, Phillips called me. At this time, he was head of CID. I was head of MCD, asking for some help with the search and seizure warrant he was executing. He asked me to bring a vehicle with a large trunk because there was a lot of stuff. So I said sure. So I got one of my vehicles that has a large trunk. Came to the Pink Cage Motel where the warrant was being executed, and entered the property with him, and began to help inventory it and everything was there that we do for standard search and seizure.
Now, the evidence on the docket, can you confirm that this is what was found in the motel?
Let me pull it back up here. Yes, those were the items that I witnessed inside of the various crates scattered throughout the hotel room.
Did you witness any IDs within the motel room?
I did see some IDs in, I believe, one of the containers. I can't recall exactly which one.
Do you recall the defendant's ID being within the motel?
I do not recall. I didn't actually go over the details of whose ID was what.
Understood. That finishes our line of questioning.
Hello, Detective.
Hello.
Good evening. How are you?
Tired, sick, annoyed, and
That's good.
Wanna
I hope
get
you have a
this
good
over with.
holidays. You were dressed for it. At least you
You too.
were.
I was.
Could you look at Exhibit F1 for me?
Yes, give me one moment. Yeah, I see it.
And then in that photo, we can see Judd Greysworth's ID and then a bunch of items inside, right?
Yes.
Okay, and there's no guns or anything like that?
Not in that container.
Okay, right. We're going to get to it, don't worry. So that was an ID that was found, right?
It appears so.
And could you reference Exhibit D1 for me, please?
Okay, got it up.
And then this is where the illegal items were found, right? Some of them, at least.
I mean, there's illegal items found in the previous exhibit as well.
Sure, but this is where the guns were found, right?
Unknown. And this
Okay.
one, I'm seeing a bunch of lockpicks, coke seeds, safe cracking tools, licenses.
Sure. We can get back to that. But just so we're all clear, there's actually 6 IDs in this crate, right?
That's the count, yeah.
And that's something that hasn't been mentioned yet?
I don't recall.
Sure. And you don't actually know whose IDs those are?
Not off the top of my head, no. I didn't. Like I said, I didn't go through and I
sure.
How do I put it? Meticulously inventory everything.
And as a detective, do you think it's important to see who else's IDs are inside the crates? It's a pretty crucial step, is it not?
Yeah. If I was the one executing search and seizure, I'm just there as the backup.
No, I understand. I understand you didn't do anything, but I'm just saying, as a detective, you would think that it's pretty important that the detective, hands over evidence that also shows that there was more IDs found, right? You would do that, wouldn't you?
Objection, badgering.
Oh, Judge, I'm not badgering.
That's not badgering.
Objection, opinion outside of the scope of questioning. He's asking
Judge.
for an opinion.
Rebuttal.
Judge, they were asking about the warrant. They asked if all the contents were true, and then they actually went into the ID. And I'm just going into his experience as a detective. He's a well-known detective. I worked with him a couple times, and just trying to establish that that is a pretty important step for detectives to hand over all the evidence and not just evidence against one person.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the defense here. The witness in question is was a major, and has been a detective for a very long time, ever since even I was in the LSDA's office. So, I'm willing to hear his opinion on detective matters.
So let's just say if you were a detective in this case, you would document each ID that you found, right? Inside the house.
Objection, Your Honor. He is not listed as an expert witness, and this is outside of the scope of questioning.
Judge, I find it odd that prosecutors are trying to.
It was a different objection, sir.
It's they're trying to make sure.
Let me confine with the justice real quick.
Overruled. You can continue on your questioning.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
There it is.
So,
Can you repeat
if this
the
was
question?
sure. If this was you searching the motel, you would document all the IDs you found. You wouldn't just document the ID of one person. That makes one person look bad, would you?
If this was my search and seizure, I would list all the items that was relevant to the charges I was pushing.
Right. And, knowing everybody's ID that was found, that's pretty relevant, right?
It depends on what the, reason for the search and all that stuff was. I didn't actually know any of that stuff.
Sure.
Going into it.
So just to wrap it up, I don't want to go for too long. Let's say in a case like this, where they don't know who owns the property because it's a motel, it's pretty crucial for them to document everybody's ID that was found, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's common, right? I mean, that's what you guys do. You guys are supposed to give the full picture, not just evidence that makes one person look bad, right?
Again, I don't know the whole investigation. I don't even know the whole case.
Sure. And I just mean in your general practice, you would hand over all the evidence, even exculpatory evidence, right?
Now he's asking for him to do the prosecutor's job, which you allowed, said couldn't be done earlier. So objection. Outside of the scope of what a detective would do.
So earlier, the reason why I said he couldn't, the other witness couldn't testify is because the question was it was about a detective being, or he was asking the earlier detective if he would have put something on a court docket, which is the prosecutor's job. The question in mind is just, again, more of the evidence he would have submitted to the prosecutor. So yeah, he's asking a detective what a detective would do, and not what he's not asking a detective what a prosecutor would do, which is why I ruled earlier that the line of questioning was invalid. So let's continue.
So not so much talking about this case, but just in general. Let's say you're investigating a case, and you find something that could exonerate the person who you're investigating. You would turn everything over, right? You wouldn't just turn over incriminating evidence. You would give the prosecutors the full picture.
Yeah, that's generally the good standard practice.
Yeah, that's what
Mr.
you guys
Hunt,
are.
just to cut in right here.
Sure.
As the prosecution isn't, please, with these compact questions or compound questions, I need that to stop.
Sure.
So, go ahead.
And then just to clarify, there was so in total there were 7 IDs found through the exhibits that you've seen.
Yes.
And only one of the IDs is actually documented of whose ID it was. They didn't document the other 6 IDs, right?
I'd have to go back and take a
from
look.
what you've seen.
May I
Sure.
take a look?
Sure.
Are we talking like documentation wise of just like it being in the crate and then the picture of the ID with the name on it? Is that what you mean by documentation?
No, I just mean from the exhibits I referenced. So in one of the exhibits, it shows who the IDs belongs to, and that ID, sorry, not IDs. And then the other exhibit, it just shows 6 IDs, period. Right? It doesn't actually show who owns those IDs.
Yeah, that's what's shown.
Thank you. Thank you, Detective Arden. I have no further question.
All right. Would the state like to ask any further questions?
We're good. Thank you.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Artem, you're free to return back.
God bless everyone.
Happy holiday.
Where the fuck I'm going? Where the heck I'm going? I'm sorry for this later.
Looking good on him.
I was flying.
All right. Does the state have any further witnesses?
We do not.
All right. Is the state resting their case?
The state rests, yes.
All right. Defense.
Sorry, Judge Wall. The defense rests as well, Your Honor.
All right. Does the prosecution or the defense need time to prepare closing statements?
Yes.
No, Your Honor.
I do need time.
All right. Is a 5-minute recess enough? As a question, prosecution.
Apologies. What was that?
Is 5 minutes enough?
Yes, it should be.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a recess. We will be back at 9:49. Alrighty. Court is back in session. With that in mind, is the state ready to make a closing statement?
We're just finishing up.
Can we have one more minute, Your Honor?
This is like one of those magic tricks when they never ends.
This is what you call night court. Get it?
No, man, I don't want owe money to nobody, man. Yeah,
Okay, I am ready.
that's what they say.
Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Great. The state today has presented the findings in a search and seizure of a motel in which had been surveilled by Detective Stan Phillips. Stan Phillips confirmed that he witnessed the defendant at the motel and using the motel. The defendant is a known serial bank robber whom would use motels such as this to stash illegal contraband, the illegal contraband of his crimes. Criminals typically use motels in which cannot be traced back to them by ownership, but they can be rented and booked, such as the Pink Cage, to be able to avoid the justice system raiding and charging them with crimes such as we see here today. The defendant clearly used this motel enough to leave behind personal possessions, such as his identification, and as testimony stated, was seen using this motel room. The use of a stash house in which he had been seen entering, wearing concealing outfits that he would later use in a crime, shows that the intent of the defendant to use the motel in relation with his criminal doings. The mere fact or possibility that the defendant shared the motel with other criminals does not negate the fact that he himself was using this motel, had keys to the motel, and the motel was clearly being used for stashing these illegal items. There are numerous crates which are crammed within this motel room. There's no bed. This motel was clearly used for illegal doings. It's obvious to a man, such as the defendant, that it possessed large quantities of drugs, weapons, and paraphernalia. The mere fact that others had access in order to also commit these crimes with the defendant does not negate the defendant's guilt as to the possessions of a motel in which, again, he used, possessed keys, and entered commonly. The state moves the court to find the defendant guilty on all charges and set precedent that the attempt to avoid legal ramifications of criminal activity by hiding large quantities of illegal items in a motel such as this is unacceptable and will not be accepted by this court. Thank you.
Judge, I'm sorry. Could we approach very briefly?
We don't do that anymore, so you can make the statement known to the court.
Sure. I just had a question. In the report, the I'm looking for where the date is in the report, and I'm unable to find that. I can see the time, but I don't see the date. And maybe I don't know if the prosecutors have access to that, and they could tell me the date of the report.
The trial is over, Mr. Hunt. So that could have been requested earlier. Let's go ahead and move to your closing statement. I mean, if that's a point you want to use in your closing, go ahead. But as for that information, it could have been requested prior. So
sure. All right. Good evening. May it please the court, counsel, Mr. Greysworth, members of the gallery. You know what you just heard for the past couple of minutes is assumptions. You heard Miss Cartwright go over a chain of events, all of which you haven't actually heard during the trial. She talked a little bit about him being a criminal. Did you hear that during the trial? You heard a little about them saying that criminals put things in motels. Did you hear that during the trial? The prosecutor spent her entire closing argument talking about things that have not been proven, they haven't been shown, and they haven't been illustrated throughout the trial, in their opening statement, or even their closing. This case is built off an assumption that because person is there or person was there, that just means that he was in possession of all of that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the testimony that you actually heard, because I don't want to just spend all my time here speculating. You heard the first detective, Detective Phillips, testify to a couple of things. First, you heard him testify as to the contents that were found inside the home. You heard him testify as to who was the quote-unquote owner of the property. And what we could assemble from that testimony is we don't know who the owner was. And if you actually look at the testimony that he said, they didn't search the home directly after the arrest. The prosecutors haven't even shown from when the arrest occurred until when the search occurred. This assumption, for all we know, it could have been 7 days later, 7 days after. They're just wanting to go on this global assumption that it was his belongings inside the house. So let's talk about their actual only evidence, because the only evidence that you've actually heard is that they found Mr. Greysworth ID inside of the home, because that's really the only evidence that they have putting Mr. Greysworth actually there, and I mean actually. So let's talk about the IDs. You heard Detective Phillips testify about the single ID that was found. What you didn't hear him testify about, that detective, the other detective, I'm blanking on his name, testified to, is the 6 other IDs that were found in, Detective Arnhem, the 6 other IDs that were found inside the home. There was 7 IDs that were documented inside the home, but Detective Stan Phillips spent his whole time talking about 1 ID, 1. And of course, it's the ID of the defendant, but where the defendant's ID was found, there wasn't even any illegal item. So I guess you could exclude that from 8 baggies of weed. There was 6 IDs found where there was ammunition found, there was drugs found, and those IDs, well, conveniently, those weren't ever given to us. Those weren't documented. You didn't hear anything about that because the prosecutors, they want to hide the truth from you. They don't want to show you what actually happened. They just want to show you one little piece of what happened. Why didn't they charge the 6 other people? Why didn't they charge them with the drugs that were found? What the prosecutors have spent this entire trial doing today is shading the truth. The whole time. The whole time, they haven't presented to you the actual evidence. They haven't presented to you the exculpatory evidence. They didn't tell you, well, there was 1 ID found. Oh, there were 6 other IDs found, and that's where the illegal items were actually found. You know? Of course, they didn't spend a minute talking about that because that hurts their case. And all they care about is winning. They don't care about justice. They don't care about if the defendant is innocent. They want to win. And the problem is there is no physical evidence. There is surely not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest standard in our country, that those are the defendant's belongings. I mean, even between the time gap, you don't even know, because you heard Phillips testify, well, I didn't search it right after he was arrested. You don't even know when the arrest happened to when the search warrant was served. They haven't even told you that. The prosecutors have an extremely high burden. And the reason why they have a high burden is because the defendant stands before you, and if he's found guilty, he will serve 8 years of his life in prison. We need to hold prosecutors to that very, very high burden. The highest burden in the country. Because if we don't, if we start letting prosecutors shade the truth, hide the truth, and not let you see the real evidence, innocent people will begin going to jail. And Mr. Greysworth is innocent. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. All right. With the following, with the statements being heard by the court, we are going to go ahead and have a 10-minute recess. So we will be meeting back at 10:11 p.m. by the Eastern Stars. I want everyone to remain inside the courthouse for this, given the active threat that is still out there. Well, I don't know if it's active, but either way, there's a threat, so let's keep the doors locked. If you need food or anything like that, go ahead and ask your fellow court goers for that. All right? Thanks.
In prison for 17.
Yeah, that's so long.
Wait, they're wanting to charge you freaking $171,750?
Alrighty, ladies, gentlemen of the court. Apologize. It took us a little longer than expected to come to that verdict. With that in mind, does the state, how long has the defendant been incarcerated in the Bolingbrook State Penitentiary?
Yeah.
I would have to look that up. Hang on, sir. He was incarcerated on the 3rd of December, sir.
All right, so 15 years, right, prosecutor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, again, this is the State of San Andreas versus Judd Greysworth, case 21-1901. The state heard sides of both parties in regards to this. We heard from Detective Stan Phillips. We heard from Detective Arnhem. And we heard the closing statements from the state, closing statements from the defense. And we have come to the following. So I want to bring out Chapter 32 Frank hearing was heard regarding the search warrant. Through questioning the detective that requested the warrant and reviewing the submitted evidence in the warrant, it was ruled by both Judge Schumann and Justice Nunab that the warrant and its validity was good. And that, again, that is the search warrant. And the arrest warrant is what this trial was about. So again, going back, the court heard testimonies from Detective Phillips and Arnhem regarding the search warrant and the chain of custody. We heard from Detective Phillips about why he moved forward with an arrest warrant. We heard from Detective Arnhem, who the court ruled a subject matter expert regarding detective procedures, about his opinions on how incidents like the ones we heard today have been dealt with in the past. After hearing from the detectives, reviewing all the facts submitted to the court rules the following. As I stated earlier today, and anyone who has been in my courtroom before, I give my reasoning before I give the verdict of each of my charges. So, this is the ruling. The defense was able to cast enough doubt in the court's mind that the defendant, Judd Greysworth, had no control over the items that were inside of the motel at the time of the search warrant's execution. The defendant was incarcerated the day of the search warrant being applied, and the very next day the search warrant was executed by detectives after it was approved by Judge Peterson. It was already determined that more than one person had access to the motel in question, which can lead any reasonable person to believe that it could have been anyone else who had access to the motel's items. Additionally, no serial numbers were provided to the court, thus no connection was able to be made in regards to active duty law enforcement weapons, therefore invalidating 2234.1 criminal possession of government issue firearm. Furthermore, no evidence other than the seized item list was provided for PC 2234.3 criminal possession of government issued equipment. The warrant receipt was not submitted as an exhibit to this court, thus cannot be used. With that in mind, PC 2306, possession of a firearm by convicted violent felon, the court finds the defendant not guilty. PC 2303, possession of a Class 3 illegal firearm / weapon, the court finds the defendant not guilty. For PC 2302, possession of a Class 2 illegal firearm, the court finds the defendant not guilty. PC 1133, weapons stockpiling with the intent to traffic, the court finds the defendant not guilty.
Oh, shit.
For the several charges in regarding the possession of law enforcement or government issued equipment, the court finds the defendant not guilty. For PC 2305, manufacturing of illegal weapons, the court finds the defendant not guilty. For PC 3129, illegal possession of a Scheduled 2 controlled substance, the court finds the defendant not guilty. For PC 3130, illegal possession of drug paraphernalia, the court finds the defendant not guilty. For PC 3207, possession of illegal contraband, the court finds the defendant not guilty. Those are the charges, all of which the defendant has been found not guilty. Additionally, per Justice for All Act, Victims' Rights, the defendant, Judge Greysworth, is entitled to $5,000 per year the defendant was wrongly incarcerated in the Bolingbrook State Penitentiary. Thus, Judge Greysworth is entitled to $75,000, which will be paid to him directly by the state. This case is now dismissed with prejudice, so ordered.
Thank you, Judge. Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a good holidays.
There we go.
Let's go.